Welcome to Earthly Integrations with Eden and Chris. Take what you need for your highest good and timeline. Breathe into your heart space and be present with us as we connect and evolve together.
Hello. Thank you for coming back to our podcast.
Welcome.
Today we're going to be talking about authenticity and how to step into your true self.
Yes, so this word has come up several times in my space in the past couple of weeks, and then I was listening to an astrologer yesterday. There's a gal who does a YouTube station called Madrona's Pulse. She's really good if you want to check her out. And she was talking about how authenticity is affecting the collective right now. And I was like, okay, that's got to be something that we talk about because we're feeling it. And I mean, we should be, aspiring to be the most authentic versions of ourselves. And being true to that helps us keep centered, keep calm when we can feel that we're at the highest expression of ourselves. And with all of the Sagittarius right now, it really is a good theme to be talking about.
Absolutely. And in my perspective, I feel like this is why we are here, to really learn this sliver of self that we are. And we can even see it in the reflections of our relationships and in our dreams, things like that. We did mention authenticity in our last episode about relationships and how to step into your authentic self into that relationship. So if you have the opportunity, definitely go back and listen to that because we do go into how to be your best self in a relationship.
Absolutely. So I do life coaching, also holistic wellness life coaching. And when I'm talking about relationships, I really want to encourage people to do just that. It's like and I actively do this too, more consciously now than I used to. Of course, I used to want to put your best foot forward. Right now, I say as many things that sound, I don't even care if it sounds crazy. And of course, I don't care about people thinking I sound crazy. I'm doing a podcast, of course, with all of this stuff that I talk about. But this is me. This is my authentic self. This is what I believe. This is my humor. It's weird, whatever. But be your weirdest self. Like bring all the weird. Bring all the weird as soon as you can. Because if they're still around after that, they really want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like today, in this day and age, children and teenagers are stepping into their authentic self faster and faster, opposed to whenever we were younger. It was kind of like really cringy because you just wanted your friends to like you. You wanted to be included.
I hope that's true. I know there was a lot of judgment when I was a kid, and you're right. Uh, the social media of our time, I'm a child of the 70s, and yeah, it was this is what you look like, the magazines and the shows that projected the nuclear family and how you are supposed to behave and what is acceptable and what is not. The fabric of the reality that we were born into was different. I'm not going to lie, I was a little afraid of, with the Snapchat filters and all of the ways that you can manipulate who you are to alter it to be seen as a different version of you. That is real and that's scary. And of course, all the selfies that people, I understand it and there's no judgment there, but also, why are you compelled to do that? What is the driving force of that? The subtle driving force in that, and why are you doing that? And what are you seeking to get approval for or validate or be seen as?
To be honest, I feel like with all those filters and all of these ways to change yourself to fit in, I think that that has promoted to be your authentic self even more because authenticity is rewarded on these social medias.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that whenever you see somebody in their authentic self, you're gravitated towards them.
Yeah.
You want to see more of them.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing on these social medias.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great way to. I love that. yes, I had that fear, and now you're showing me this perspective of like, but this, and it's great, and then I see this again with the whole world going, up into the light or deep down into the darkness. That is a very enlightened and more evolved way to see it and
Yeah,
experience
those filters are just a remnants of the past.
it. I
Yeah.
don't see them much anymore, and I definitely don't use them. I deleted Snapchat off I don't use it
Oh,
anymore.
well, on TikTok, they have this one filter. It's called the glamour filter, and
Okay.
it's like so real. And it looks like you just had a full face of makeup.
Hmm.
Like you look amazing,
Okay,
amazing.
good to know. I
Yeah,
might use it just in case. Yeah.
exactly. But like, I see a lot of people talking about it and how it changes everything. And why do we need to continue to conform to this basic look?
Right.
uh, that all women have always tried to conform to. Back in the Victorian age, we all tried to conform to the corsets, and
Right.
I'm not a
It's
historian, so I'm not sure.
Well, it's what we're told. Whatever time frame, it's what we're told is acceptable. And who
Hmm.
determines that?
Men. Victoria's Secret was a man.
There was this whole AI thing. God, I want to play it for you guys, but it was basically this dude who'd taken AI and was talking to. Did I send it to you? It was
I don't think
talking
so.
about if men had periods and what the advertisement would be and what like what the discussion around it would be and what the support would look like and the language around it, and it was all very, and AI came up with this. It wasn't a human, it was based on information. And he was like, at the end, he's like, I don't think anybody can disagree with this here.
Right.
Right. It was like, wow.
Well, I saw this woman, she was talking about how, she reversed the sexism and she was like, I don't understand how any man could be a president. Like they can't even pay attention in the classrooms if a girl is showing her shoulders, like that's 24/7. That's not even just like a little bit out of the month.
Uh-huh.
They can be highly influenced at any point. Just somebody has to flash a shoulder. God forbid a knee,
Mm-hmm.
a nip.
Mm.
Oh my God. She was
Yeah.
going off. It was amazing because it's so true. We all have our faults and sexes, but why is the woman's sex, you know, looked down upon because we bleed once a month, because we have hormones and we
Yeah.
cry?
Yeah. Yeah. So in my life, just personally, like I normalize that type of conversation. It's a part of
Hmm.
the human experience, even if you are a man, because you have women in your life.
Absolutely. You came into the world by a woman, just so you know.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, it's and the unhealed man. Oh, that is another good segue into the unhealed male or divine masculine, which, by the way, we're all going to be collectively feeling in ourselves. So really, it's important to pay attention to this because Mars is doing a Leo. It's ebbing between Leo and Cancer here in the next 6 months, and
Mm.
in the and it's going to be in retrograde too. Actually, I think it just started a retrograde. What's the date today? It's on the 6th, I think it started the retrograde.
Today's the 7th, I
Yeah,
think.
so yesterday. And yeah, that is the divine masculine in ourselves. How are we allowing it to show up? Collectively, it's been damaged. And the low version is what we've been seeing. So this is a good invitation to go inward and slow down and how are we responding? Um, how are we showing up in our more authentic expression? Because so Leo is, how we play, and it's the playful energy in. It's not always a true expression of who we are, right? It's how we dress up,
Mm-hmm.
how we dress up and embellish things in the physical. So this is a step back from that, and it's asking us to look at that because, of course, it's fire, it's male fire energy, um, and those parts of ourselves, and how do we step back and determine how we want to show up going forward in the more authentic ways. And how can we use a more healed version of Leo aspects of ourselves? So, where's Leo in your chart? Where's Mars in your chart? And look at the energies that surround it, and if there's any important points or planets there too, because that might be significant. And yeah, just how can you be a more healed expression of those masculine parts of yourself, you know? And considering the fire element, you know, discussion that we had last time, you can use those same questions to see how you're using the balance of that.
It's really interesting because I've had this insecurity in my soul about my business and trying to get it to prosper and trying constantly. And my knee-jerk reaction was, how can I conform to what everybody needs me to be? Rather than let me step into what I can be and what I am most authentically me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do feel like you said Leo in retrograde.
Mars, yeah.
Oh, Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mars in retrograde kind of makes you feel as if you need to conform to the people around you. And what we're trying to say is no, step into your true, authentic self. Double down on who you are.
Right. Right. What lights you up? And if you don't know, find the fire in yourself. What lights you up? What gives you that fluttery feeling in your heart? What expands your heart, right? What brings you joy? Now, this is also right now because we have so much Sagittarius. We think of Jupiter, which is where we find expansion and joy in ourselves, right? In our lives, in our outer world. So go in, right? If you have to journal, if you don't know, again, if you don't know the destination, how are you supposed to get there, right? So, like, just dream it up. Dream it up. You said the moon's in Pisces. I didn't look at the moon placement, but that's what the app's telling us right now. That's dreamy, using your emotions to dream up what lights you up. Use
Mm-hmm.
your feeling center. Use your water.
Right. And if you're feeling burnt out by the amount of trying that you've been doing for the past year or couple of years or whatever, um, really lean into that little spark that you've had. Maybe it could be a relationship, a love, maybe it could be a project or, you know, decorating your house. Really find that thing that makes you feel elated and passion and excited. Because really, that's what the universe is pointing you to. Every time you feel that excitement, go towards it. Do
Yeah.
not run away from it.
Right. And if fire is your missing element,
Mm.
what's the medicine? What can ignite that? What do you need to do? So where do you need to so find that in your chart. And if you need to find an astrologer, do that. Or, you know, if somebody holistically knows how to help spark flame,
Mm-hmm.
Kundalini, do Kundalini yoga.
Kundalini. Yeah, you can also eat spicy foods, literally have that fire in your gut. You could start doing cardio, take a jog, Ashtanga,
Breath
things
of
like,
fire,
yeah, so we're stoking that fire. That's what we need to do to get you up and active.
body movement,
Yes, and I know
go
that that's
dance.
really hard right now in this season because this season is the one for rest and digest. But if you're finding that there is no passion in your life and you need to stoke that fire, go to an Indian place and get the spiciest thing on the menu.
It is really about though the joy. I really like that, and you know, lifting up that it really is a call. The authentic part of ourself is our divine center, right? The ego needs to be separate. That's the divine. That is the masculine, um, the yang. It needs to feel like it's in charge, right? That male in
Mm,
charge, and like also, you know, it wants to run the show. It wants to do it to protect, you know, and that's all the male stuff. Can you how can you support your feminine? That's the best question for the divine masculine. How can you support your feminine? You're
well,
in yourself.
absolutely. We were just talking about possibilities, and my first instinct was that's such a feminine role to see the possibilities in your life and kind of give birth or create from those possibilities that you've dreamed up. That is such a female uh, energy for me, at
Yeah.
least. For the male, like it's what they can provide. It's how they can help you create because you've
Yes.
dreamed up everything,
Yeah,
but they
co-creation.
come, yeah, they
Yeah.
come and they give you the wood or they give you the money or, whatever. They provide for you so that you can create.
Yeah, healthy balance. That's exactly what it is, finding that.
Mhm.
So allowing that deeply intuitive part of yourself, the feminine, the supportive, nurturing part of yourself, the
Mm.
feminine, yeah, it's co-creation and in divine inspiration, right? So like, ooh, it's that creative force in yourself and then it starts to show up outside of you in all the ways, which is so beautiful. I'm actually experiencing that right now too. We just talked about in my life and it's like, oh my gosh, this is great when you go in and do the work and sometimes, the lessons maybe get a little easier as you're spiraling upward. And then we do spiral down, it's not always that, but like when it
Mhm.
does give you kind of a breath of fresh air after you've come up from like underneath the depths of something, you're like, oh God, that feels kind of nice to see it as a lightened, oh, the sun's shining on this thing that I just felt into.
Absolutely. And if you happen to be downward spiraling, give yourself grace and just know that this too shall pass. You know, we're lifting ourselves up by going towards that excitement, by going towards that passion, and that's always going to bring you back to that upward cycle. Always.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that's what we're doing. And that is really what we are here for, is to integrate. It is like we do have to go into the downward spirals in order to feel into things, but then we use the balance of things to kind of try to find our way back into the like crawl back into the light and recollect the information, use the information and reassimilate things in order to have a more enlightened experience, right? Literally and figuratively.
absolutely. Like your life is just like the ocean. It comes in waves.
Yeah.
Ride the wave. Don't push against it. Ride it. So, back to the authenticity bit about leaning into yourself, you really need to start discovering who you are. And we have so many different tools that me and Chris use to discover who we are time and time again. And the last episode, we talked about relationships and how you can discover who you are through those relationships. But there's a lot of different tools that we use, and one is astrology.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we continue to encourage you to look at your chart and know who you are through that chart and don't like take everything and be like, I have to be like this. No, let it kind of lay on your soul and see what stays and see what, goes.
Yeah, so the most beautiful part of astrology and I mean, and of course, through my journey of learning about it, I'm sure I became too attached, overly attached to certain um, archetypes. And when I saw them show up, I'd call it out, and you can do damaging things by doing that. I have harmed relationships by doing that in the past, so we have to be careful. Stephen Forrest is an amazing astrologer. He's written several books, and he talks about this a little bit too. It can be used to harm as much as it can be used for good. So we have to be careful because we are different expressions of these things, and we use all of the things, all of the signs. Um, we're influenced by all of them. We move through all of them. They are a part of how we move through them. It's just like looking at how we're playing with them. And that's why, the Deborah Silverman talks about like the missing element, where's your imbalance? It's important to look at that. But the cool thing about the chart, the natal chart, when we look at that, is that it allows us to see, the sun, how it shines on your outer personality. That's your sun sign, and everybody kind of knows that. And it gives us an idea about how you're showing up. What is apparent about you to us in this physical world. And then the moon. It's important to know the moon signs, and how we internalize things, how we see ourselves, how we feel. What's our inner world? How do you go deep? What's your mother wound, basically? What's your inner child?
Mm-hmm.
Those are important parts of ourselves that we need to know so that we know how to navigate. Knowing Deborah Silverman also talks about your progressed moon. Learning your progressed moon is important to have an idea about what is going to show up. That's where it becomes a little bit more predictive in astrology and allows us to see how we're going to contend with what's showing up in our emotional bodies.
What is the progressed moon? How do you find
So
that?
when you do a progressed, any sort of progressed placement, Molly McCord, actually, I had purchased one of her progressed chart classes. I haven't made it through the whole thing, but it's interesting. Any sort of progressed, the progressed just means how it is progressing through your chart. So the degrees in which these signs progress. So they talk about like, well, if that's your natal chart. Well, what about now? And how's the astrology now? Well, this is one of the ways that we can look at how astrology affects you now. For example, my progressed sun, I'm a Capricorn. My natal sun is in Capricorn. So when I was born, my sun is in Capricorn. But it progresses 1 degree per year. In your chart. So for every year that you have gone through a sun sign, that you've taken that solar return, you progress 1 degree in your chart. So right now, because I'm in my late 40s, my progressed sun is in Pisces. So I'm really feeling it's like another layer of my outer exterior personality. That's how I'm sort of showing up. It's what I've sort of grown into astrologically and personality, into displays of more Pisces. So I'm really feeling that, and so like when I do look at the different ways Pisces is showing up, that's my rising sign, and it's my progressed sun. It's a huge part of my current experience. So
I find that so interesting. I feel as if this is like advanced astrology.
This is, I feel like, intermediate, because
Really?
I listen to these people. I don't know, like maybe it is. It's my own like wound, my I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's
it might
Gemini,
be advanced.
That's what it is. You think you can learn, keep learning and learning and learning. There's so many, but that also gives a way to. There's so many layers to astrology. If your sun sign doesn't feel as if it's like that is you, continue to dig in. So sun sign, moon sign, ascending, descending.
Yeah, your ascendant. So just to give you a brief, like real quick, like your ascending sign, and that you need to know exactly what time you're born. It can change, out of that sign within a degree or whatever, within like 15-minute time frame. So you'll kind of want to know, minutes, pretty specific, and geographic location, and that'll tell you what your soul is rising into in this lifetime. It's the energy that you came to. And when you're at a really high expression of that, you're happy. Like life is good pretty much, and you're really learning about that in its high expression. Like if you're also like struggling with low expressions of that sign, then you're probably maybe in depression, or you're not really, life's not maybe treating you so well, or maybe you're struggling, or maybe it's challenging. It's where you're trying to learn from. So wherever it's an ouchy form in your life, like, okay, what's life trying to teach you, and how can you look at it? And when we use astrology, we can look at that. It's one of the things that is a major influence in how you're showing up in this life. And then your Mercury is, of course, how you communicate, and that's why they say when Mercury is in retrograde, to be careful and not sign documents, because communication be cut off.
And there's a couple different types of astrology too. We have the tropical, which is what you'll usually see in social medias or on podcasts or whatnot, unless they specifically say this is Vedic astrology. And to me, Vedic astrology, well, not to me, Vedic astrology just happens to be where the planets literally are placed in the sky, while tropical is like from the past. So what I've heard it explained as is like tropical is what it used to be, and obviously stars change over time. So now we're in Vedic astrology where the signs are kind of set back one.
I suppose that could be true. That is the way to look at it, I think. The way I understand it, I don't know. I could be wrong. Vedic astrology seems like ancient astrology, like an ancient practice. And I don't know if that's true or not. That's, like I said, how I'm currently understanding it or viewing it. And then Western or tropical astrology is more practiced in the Western culture, just from my experience.
Well, yes,
I don't know if that's right or wrong.
I do believe that. I think that a Vedic astrology actually follows the stars, and that's
Gotcha.
why signs have changed.
Right,
But with
that's
tropical,
different, yeah.
Western over here, we're pretty attached to our stars being exactly where they need to be. So either way, for me, in my truth, they have the same energy. Like whenever we're saying we're in Sagittarius right now, but in Vedic astrology, we're in Scorpio.
Gotcha.
Scorpio in Vedic is the same energy imprint as it is in Sagittarius and tropical. That's my truth, and why the reason why I'm bringing this up is for you to explore and find your truth.
Yeah, and there's no wrong way to do astrology. Honestly, I've spoken with, or not spoken with, but I've learned from a lot of teachers who are very, very good at this, and they say it doesn't matter. Whatever type you learned is not wrong, and how you're seeing it in your chart, whatever feels right, whatever makes sense. Look at your truth, your your real truth, and look at these different charts and however it's showing up, you'll see it. And then whatever makes sense to you, follow that. It's not wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, a couple different ways to find who you are and your authentic self would also be to, what's that? I can, the generator and
Oh, you were talking about the human
the
design.
human design.
So
Yes,
if there's any interest, you guys let us know. I've not studied it. I know a couple of people who have extensively studied it. One person has gotten certified in this that I could reach out to. If we want to know more about it, we could host an interview and learn more, unless you have more to offer on this topic. I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, I just know that you can go online and you can find what you are, and you can do a lot of research online. There's a lot of free information online. So I would say if that is what feels great for you, definitely go towards that.
I mean, I've heard that it is like the most insanely accurate description or depiction, or both
Hmm.
maybe, of your experience in this vessel.
Do you know what you are?
I think I'm a generator, but there's a type of generator.
Manifesting
I
generator?
think I'm a manifesting
Me
generator. Are
too.
you? I
Yeah.
am a generator, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm a manifesting generator. So I feel like I'm a manifester more, but okay, whatever.
I mean, there was another type of generator that it said that I thought that I was, and I was like, oh, because I just kind of allow things to come into my space, and I was like really I'm not attached to it, but I was like, oh yeah, that kind of things show up and I follow the signs, but to
Hmm.
me, that's like, oh, I thought that's just how everybody did it anyway.
Right.
So I guess I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah, and so that's something that you can research, the human design. It's definitely super in depth. I hear that they use astrology, they use like acupuncture and sin lines. They also use like how your mind body is connected. I'm not sure, but they use a lot of information to get that specific title and tell you where you're, connected or disconnected.
Hmm. Yeah, interesting. I want to know more. I feel like there is a lot of truth to be and a lot of things to learn. This is all learning about yourself. So yeah, if you like have Neptune really strong, like if you have Neptune in your first house or Pisces rising, I have Pisces rising actually. But if you need to know, or if you have stuff in your 12th house where things are hidden, maybe your sun is in your 12th house or your Mercury is in your 12th house, and you don't understand things about yourself, or you don't understand things about parts of yourself. Um, this is a good way to dig deep into these energies, to explore how they show up and see how you are playing with them in your life, and if there is discomfort, and then again using the elements to find where the medicine is, where the missing element is, and what you need.
Oh, that's another. Oh, so if you guys are interested in the human design, just like comment, hey, I want to know more about human design. Because I'm interested and we would like to have a conversation about that more. But moving on, um, there are there's this one thing called the Dharma. So your Dharma,
Hmm.
there's 5 of them, and I I'm gonna probably mess this up because I need to write some stuff down.
Do you want to write it down real quick? Because I have stuff written down that I could do that while you,
Yeah,
or do
go
you want
for
to
it.
do it off the top of your head if you're ready?
All right, let me try to do it
Try,
off
try,
the
try.
top.
Okay.
Yeah, if anything, I'll just
Yeah,
cut it
yeah,
out.
yeah.
All right, so we have the outsider.
Okay.
So this is somebody that is always on the outside of society, like homeless people or bikers, the rebel,
Hmm.
you
And
know.
all of these things teach us something, by the way, right? I'm assuming
They teach us who we are.
who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just another thing to lay on your soul and be like, is this truly who I am? Is this, the feeling right for me type
Okay.
thing. We have the merchant, and this is somebody that is like manager, is can get people together and raise money. They socialize a lot. They eat and drink a lot. So like the harmful side of the merchant would be somebody that the fat cat, really, the glutton, somebody that continues to eat and drink so much that they have a heart attack. That would be like the negative side. And then we also have the laborer, and this is somebody that loves to work with their hands. Usually, they are like the most authentic people and heartwarming. They invite everybody in and are always so kind and nice. So usually you'll see that these people are highly satisfied with doing hard labor and, being managed by those merchants.
This reminds me of the love language thing we were talking about in the last episode,
Oh,
the
yeah.
relationships. A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. This is what I learned in yoga therapy because we really explore who your true self is and how to lean into that authentic self. Um, we also have the teacher.
Okay.
So this is somebody that has to spread information, that does a lot of research, and um, I don't know, they support the merchants. No, no, no. They support the laborers, and the merchants support the heroes, actually. So the warriors are the next one, and the warriors are those people that have to take a stand. They have a fighting spirit, and they are consistently on their soapbox, kind of getting people together to take a stand, and or they are literally like vets and people in the military, and uh, they have a hot temper, actually. And you could associate all of these things with the elements as well.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Like the laborer would be earth, and
Hmm.
the merchant would probably be
Or planets.
water. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like Capricorn, Neptune. The last one you said was Mars.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
And the outsider is something that just recently got put onto the Dharma list. And this is like ancient Ayurvedic type stuff. And that would be the ethers. That would be the space in between that you can't see,
Which we were just talking about. What was the goddess?
Hecate.
Hecate?
Hecate,
Yeah.
Hecate.
Hecate.
Yeah. She is the goddess of the universe, all of the ethers, the in between. She also rules like transformation and things like that. Hecate has been putting out a mass calling for a lot of women specifically to wake up and take a stand. And actually, this leads me on to.
Go for it.
So this is a little political, and if you're not interested, totally understand. Totally
Fast forward
understand.
if you are not a feminist.
Right, right. Um, there is an amendment in the archivist's office that just needs to be put in our Constitution that would protect our gender rights. And it states that no matter what gender, you cannot be discriminated against, on what sex you are. And so what we're trying to do is put pressure on Biden to put pressure on the archivist to publish it. It has been like revised over and over again, and it is ready to go in the Constitution. Literally nothing else is holding it up other than this archivist. So I'm writing a letter to Biden. We're all sending it out on December 10th, which is the 101st anniversary that this amendment was uh, put on the table. So it's just, it would feel really protective to actually have this in our Constitution because our Constitution does not have the word woman in it at all. So anybody could argue that we're not included in any of those rights.
Yeah. So talk about showing up and how we are changing our, planet, how we are becoming a part of the change, how we're being a part of the change. If you're listening to this on Spotify, I don't know if we can post it, but if we can, we will post the attachment underneath.
Absolutely.
But if you are able to, or if you're not able to do it on Spotify, we are also on YouTube under Earthly Integrations, and the podcast will also have this posted underneath and instructions of how to do this going forward. If you'd like to do it, we are promoting that as well. Or you can find me on Ascension Holistic Wellness on Facebook, and I'll also post it there too.
Yep. And just in case you didn't want to check any of that, it is voteequality.us. So you can check out that website for more information and to support yourself or your female counterparts. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
But let's move on. So the dharmas are another thing that you could explore, and there are quizzes online that you can take for the dharmas.
I like that. I'm gonna look into that. We touched on that when I studied metaphysical science, and it talked about karma and dharma and all of that. Yeah. There's so many different things to explore and to dive into.
Yeah. I think also your past life regression really helps.
It does. So I actually have studied this. I dove into it while I was in my 20s, my late 20s. I found books by Dr. Michael Newton. He did the Destiny of Souls and the Journey of Souls book series, and at that time, kind of during that time, Dr. Brian Weiss was showing up on like Oprah Winfrey show, and there were a lot of people who were in that profession who were sort of stumbling upon these deeper levels of meditation, or what they called theta, brain activity, and so people who were using a hypnosis during that time were using it for like stopping smoking and losing weight, and they would keep you in the light alpha levels, and they would tell you not to go deeper because weird things happen. So anyway, the weird things that were happening were basically people were starting to have a lot of very similar experiences to where they were regressing into not just this past lifetime, of this lifetime, but going into other lifetime experience and our incarnate experiences. So I was sort of ushered. It's so funny how we're spoon-fed things that we can digest little by little. Our higher self will give us information, and that kind of is what started my journey in my 20s about my whole expansive, cosmology. And yeah, it is one of those things where we evolve into these understandings of truth. I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay. Well, meditation is also a big, big factor to learning who you are and just being still with still with yourself.
Right.
Totally accepting yourself. I find yoga practice, because I'm a physical person, physically here, but I'm like an Aries, so whenever I am being physical, I feel as if that is my best self. So learning how to step out of your thoughts and be the observer rather than being in your thoughts and thinking that it's all true.
Maybe that's why hypnosis actually works well too, because you are becoming the observer. That's the whole point of it. I mean, I guess that's where I was going with that anyway, is Dolores Cannon, whom I actually was able to fortunately study directly with. I learned from her in a level 1 and a level 2, but she was one of also those pioneers who did the regressive hypnosis, and it brings you to that observer standpoint. It gets your ego mind out of the way, and that's what they were doing. And so when we're able to do that, we're able to channel. And yeah, everything's cyclical, so the regressive hypnosis is so relevant and it's so beautiful, and it can take us to where we need to look at points, either in this lifetime or in previous lifetimes, and all of this is so validated. I hate how modern science doesn't acknowledge it to be actual truth, because if we're paying attention and using the scientific method, it is having a hypothesis. Okay, is life cyclical, or is reincarnation real? Is there proof? Absolutely, there is proof.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely proof that there is. There's over hundreds of thousands of case studies of people who are regressed and having these almost exact, very, very similar experiences. Now, the reason that Dolores Cannon termed it quantum healing instead of, because when I first started to go, I thought I was taking a past life regression class, is because we are multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just incarnate as humans. So
I do feel as if more and more women get into the field of science, and well, it's not just women. We just happen to be in this patriarchal society that deems intuition and psychic abilities as being woo-woo.
Female energy.
It is female energy. So they are coming around, is what I'm saying, and they are finding that what you imagine your body perceives is real. These things are absolutely real.
Yep. And to start paying attention to them.
Yes.
To become your more authentic self, the more authentic version of you who's paying attention to that. Stop shunning that inner wisdom. Stop shunning that inner support system that wants to nurture you. Nurture that inner child so it can show up in your outer world, because guess what, guys? It totally does. It is starting to. It's so awesome. What I had written, did you want to say more about the
Dharma?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, just look it up online and find your Dharma, and usually it kind of coincides with your work, and if you happen to be outside of your Dharma, you're going to feel unsatisfied in work. You're going to feel there needs to be a change.
It's another balancing thing to look at where you're not balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Where your imbalances. Where's your discomfort? So that's another tool.
Where's the discomfort? Yes, yes. So that's all I wanted to say about the dharmas.
I love that. I love it. What a great little tool to use. I had written down. I think I was meditating, and I always sort of tried to. This is one of the things that it had called to talk about. Sorry. I wrote down that we wear masks. When we wear masks in public and we're not being our authentic self, it's hard to breathe under those masks, right? So let's consider that. How can you speak your truth if you're wearing a mask? Anytime we can take things stupid, literal, learn the lesson from it, I feel like there's always something there. Why do we fall in love with musicians? This was something I got from an astrology video, actually, because they are so wholeheartedly expressing their authentic, they're just writing about their feelings, and then they're literally pouring their hearts out to us.
Well, not only that, but music in and of itself is so spiritual. Just the vibrations that go through you attracts you or deters you.
Right.
It depends on the music, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is why, asking somebody, what kind of music do you like? It gives you a big imprint on who they are as a person. Because if they're like, oh, I like everything, they don't know who they are.
Right. That's true. That's true. What do you find yourself listening to? What's your go-to? What do you want to sing? What makes you, when you want to when you're listening to something, what makes you want to sing out loud to it or dance around to it?
Yeah, and that's another way to stoke that fire is to
Yeah.
put on some good music, dance around, get some excitement going, get the, vibes higher.
Yeah, so Eden and I are part of a newly blossoming community here in on the Space Coast in Florida, and it's called Soul Family, and it is so if you are in sort of on an enlightened journey, and all of these concepts are if they're new to you and inspiring and you like them and you vibe with them, join us. If you're already on this journey and this totally speaks to your soul, then find us. So there's a local folk artist and his wife. It's Bob Sima and Shannon Plummer, and they're great. They are really inspired and they are extremely heart-centered, beautiful human beings that I have been able to attend several of their concerts and one in their home that they did that was it was such a blessing because really it's co-creative. They really get people singing together. They raise the vibration. They sing about truth. They're very heart-centered and
I
authentic.
I just listened to them on YouTube. She showed me a video because I haven't actually met them yet, but just listening to them on YouTube really lifted my spirits and made me feel a little lighter and like I could breathe. It was the meditation
Yeah,
song. So
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So
I'll
good.
put a link in whatever thing that we post, but if you're in the area, so he is going to also join us, and he's going to be a part of this community. They are, I should say, I'm sorry. They are going to be part of this community, and I think they're going to be co-hosting that event with us. And so we are aspiring to put together a spiritual community that supports soul growth and soul family and connection and co-creation with each other individually. Supports each other, as individuals, and of course the planet as well. So, if this, kind of feels like something that resonates with you, definitely reach out. We are going to be hosting an event. There's several things. If you want to become a part of the whole Florida chapter, you can. If you want to become a part of the Melbourne family chapter, just reach out and I'll go ahead and add you to that. And it's going to be an event on January 19th at 1 p.m. At Eden's Yoga Studio. If you want to go ahead and give
Yeah.
information on that location.
Be Blissful Energy. It is, do you want the address?
Well, reach out for the address. We don't need to say it all online right now, but
Right. You can comment and I'll reach out to you, or you can just go ahead and email us at any point and we can give you more information about that for sure.
nice. That was a beautiful segue into musicians. I
Absolutely.
guess Divine Spirit had already an idea about that for me. We don't know. Like we didn't even know we were talking about authenticity. I had an idea because it was given to me, but Eden and I hadn't talked about it until about an hour before we started chatting here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so shine and share your heart. We are in the energy um, to put faith in yourself. Faith instead of fear. Faith in yourself instead of fear of what others think,
Mm,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, pretense serves the ego. Authenticity serves the soul and allows space for truth to flow through you. But you have to know yourself. That's where the Bible says, know thyself, to know what your real truth is um, when it shows up and if it shows up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So I actually am writing a book, and the whole preface is to know thyself. It's a workbook that you fill in, and it actually helps you go through your emotional body, mental, physical, spiritual, and bliss body to see what aligns with you and who you are right now. That will hopefully be coming out by probably April of next year.
Is that the one I got to look at?
Is
Or
it?
is it a different book? Did you write a different book? I don't know. Or did you publish one
I
already?
published a poetry book.
Oh, okay. The one you showed me was really pretty.
Yeah, that is the poetry book. It's called The Ways of Life.
Yeah, you should say something about that.
Yeah, it has poetry in it. Actually, I wrote it specifically as a way to cope with my trauma, and that really it does really help. And I find it's almost like a channel to just write it down real quick, and then I have that little poem. I put it all in my Keep, and then I just copy and paste it into a book, and it was perfect. I just there's nothing that I tried too hard, and that's another thing. Don't try very hard. Don't try. Like just be you.
Yeah.
And if the people around you don't like that you're not trying very hard and you're not attending to their needs constantly, then maybe that is a sign that they are not meant for you. But to preface this, I am not promoting isolation. I feel as if we are a community that has been completely isolated. And this is what corporations really want us to be. They want us to be isolated so that we just continue to consume to fill that hole.
Yeah, absolutely. We're put in these little boxes, separated from each other, separated from nature. That is the lie. Right now, it is really important to dig deep, and that is the next part of what I said. What were we told that we needed to do? What were we told about how things are? Now is the time to really reflect and reconsider and about what our beliefs are, what our values are, and to start really living according to what they truly, really are, and to really know what those things mean to you.
Absolutely. Leaning into the knowing who you are and leaning into your values. Who gave you those values? What life lessons have happened to you to instill those values and beliefs in you? Right. I actually, whenever I was a kid, I was in a cult, but not, and they promoted the separation of this church and everybody else. That's what they promoted. My school actually had this project called Anything Could Happen, or Anything is Possible. That's what it's called. Anything is Possible. And I sung a song about it. Because I was the only one that signed up to sing a song about it, and I wrote a poem about it. I also did an essay about it. I felt so inspired. I was like maybe 8 or 9. I was so inspired by this topic of anything is possible. It was so true in my realm of possibilities that anything is possible, anything, right? And that is exactly what instilled my first biggest belief. Anything is possible, because whenever anything is possible, then you are open to hear everybody's opinion. You're open to hear like how things change, especially in science. You're not attached to that one thing. You know that it changes.
Attachment is the root of all suffering. And yeah, reach up. What is your highest potential? And go for that. That is the archer that is reaching for. What we had some mantras even that we were going to end it with.
I do have mantras, but there is this one saying. Okay, I'm going to read it. Okay. We all have our stories to create in this crazy game of life. We are each our own archer with an arrow ready to aim wherever we choose.
Right, that's the Sagittarius energy. That is actually a quote from a book. So my brother is a former professional contemporary ballet dancer, and he danced in a company called Elements Contemporary Ballet, and with a woman named Megan Walsh. And she wrote a beautiful book called Journey Through the Zodiac, and I think you can find it on Amazon. But she freehanded these mandalas as she was sort of meditating, and they're gorgeous. And the book is beautiful. She's an amazing astrologer, so check it out if you'd like.
Yeah, and at the end of each sign, she actually has mantras. So I don't know. I kind of want to take turns reading them.
Okay, yeah, I'd love that.
So the first one is, I am meaningful.
Let me put my glasses on. The second one is, I have a relationship with my life and the path that I'm walking.
Through my philosophy, I create the direction I am heading.
I embody one path to truth, and my life is my quest to find it.
Every experience is a lesson I have asked for and can learn from.
I have faith that there is a greater meaning to this existence.
I open my awareness and see the magic that is all around us.
My life is about the experience.
I am truth.
I love that.
That is amazing. Also, if you felt anything in your heart, if you felt like inspired by any of these mantras, go ahead and, rewind, write it down,
Yeah.
and say it like every day during the Sagittarius season.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I love that she writes, I am, right? And that can speak to and definitely like feel into your root chakra, feel into your sacral chakra. I have, right? I have is like sacral or like third, solar plexus. I embody a path, right? I have faith. I open, feel into your heart space. I open my awareness. Into your third eye, I see the magic that is around us, right? Embody it. Feel it into your body. Open your chakras. Use it to kind of heal and raise the frequency of those chakras.
I do feel as if your feelings and emotions, the way you feel in your body, is a key indicator that you are stepping into your authentic self or you're stepping away from it.
Yeah, and pay attention. Actually, physical symptoms are, and I mean, I hate to make this blanket statement. They really are, but I know it's a sensitive topic. But yeah, those are basically your body's way of bringing attention to something that needs changing. And mostly it's just bringing attention to something that currently needs changing or to be seen, to be acknowledged.
Giving examples of this, of physical sensations that you're either holding yourself back or you're speaking your truth. Say you have like a lump in your throat, that means that you're not saying something that needs to be said, or you have grief in there that needs to be expressed in some way. Say you're having heartaches, or you're having like heart flutters, this is both sides of the coin. Heartaches could be that you're stepping away from somebody or something that is truly meant for you or that you miss, or
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was gonna say, do you have diabetes? Do you have now Dolores Cannon says that is either too much sweetness or lack of sweetness in your life. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know if you were done with that. I got so excited. Like, oh my God, I totally could see that.
No, but seriously, I've also heard that if you have any hip pain, this means that you're not being supported in your life.
Or back pain as you're carrying a heavy load.
A heavy load. Yeah. So I like to do like a body scan before I start my yoga and after, actually, to see the difference before and after. But I notice any sensations like, oh, I have a little twinge in my neck, or oh, my shoulders are feeling really stiff today. I just keep like a little note, and then I go through my yoga practice without judgment. During my yoga practice, I continue to check in with my physical body so I know I'm not pushing myself too much or too little. You've got to really feel into it and see who and where you're at each day, because each day is different.
Absolutely. And I know yoga does this as a practice, but like if I don't have time for yoga, I will do my stretching and and I guess it's somatic body movement. I didn't learn about this, but I guess that's a term that you could look up if you're looking into it. But to my knowledge, or what I'm doing anyway, is I'm feeling into what tense feelings, I'm feeling into the pain. I'm looking at what is coming up in my awareness, what's coming up in my feeling center, and what's coming up in my body, and if there's anything there to look at.
That is like a intuitive movement, somatic intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have an energy, it's not an energy movement class, but it kind of is. It can be, but it's an energy share. It's the second Saturday of each month at Essential Elements Wellness downtown at 6 p.m. So if you're wanting to do energy work, that is one of the practices that I'll kind of walk you through as well. Was there something more that you wanted? There was a quote that I wanted to read out of this other book before we ended up, and I know we're getting close.
Right. No, I just wanted to say, feel into your body because that's going to be the biggest indicator you're going towards or away from your authentic self.
Absolutely. The other quote that I wanted to read, and I know we've referenced this book before, it's called The Evolutionary Guidebook by Mr. E. And I think this one you can find on Amazon as well, but it speaks to what we were saying. And I was telling Eden, I was like, I know there is something in here that I need to read that is something, and it was the word authentic. It was in the
Mm-hmm.
sentence. So I'll read it to you now, and we'll mostly leave you with this. I don't know if Eden has something else to follow up with, but it says, become such a powerful magnet of peaceful resolution that your truth lights up the darkness in the minds and hearts around you just by your authentic participation.
And that is so true. Whenever you are your authentic self, you are like a shining light that people are coming towards and they want to be their authentic selves too. So let's
Yeah.
continue to step into that.
Yeah, when you be it, you see it. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll leave you with that.
Yay.
And if you have any other topics that you want us to touch on, maybe list them in the comments. Spotify definitely has a comment list. I know YouTube does. So,
Mhm. I'd love
uh,
to hear from you.
yeah, y'all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.
Be well, everyone.